What happens when a group of lifelong besties trades middle school crushes for midlife hot flashes? You get a lot of laughs, a little bit of venting, and a whole lot of heart. We've survived cross-country moves, career shifts, and changing gene sizes together. Now we're tackling the invisible years, from the frustration of medical mysteries to the joy of deep-rooted sisterhood. We're here to brainstorm, de-stress, and remind you that you aren't going through this alone. Because at the end of the day, we're more than just a support group. We are friends, period.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the conversation. Pull up a chair and join us. We're friends, period, where nothing is off limits and everything is real. We're lifelong friends navigating this stage of life together, and we're so glad you're here with us. Before we dive in, as always, let's just remind you, we're sharing our personal journeys, not professional advice. We're not doctors, we're not experts, and we aren't sponsored by any of the products we talk about. Please use your own judgment and always check with your doctor before trying new supplements or health routines. That being said, I'm Colleen. I'm glad you're here.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Tara.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
So, Erin, my first thing is for you. This is a quick flashback to a few episodes. I was thinking of something so random today, and I can't not ask the question. So, you told us the origin of our mushroom group name. It's one of the more fun stories that's come up so far in the podcast. And I think, Megan, you mentioned in our text thread this week that you ran into someone we went to school with who was so curious as to who the mushroom belonged to. And
that's correct. Yes.
Here's my question. It's not the identity of the mushroom. I don't want to be reminded, but what I was wondering is if this mushroom owner were to listen to our podcast, do you think he would even know it was his?
I've actually wondered that, and I feel like he probably has no memory of doing that. Like for me, it was like, kind of this like
left impression.
What the hell is that? Oh, and left impression. But and I hate to say this, but I feel like he's probably I'm probably not. I wasn't the first mushroom exposure.
That was another question that I had. I wondered. Yes.
Maybe that was his thing. I don't know. But his identity shall forever be a mystery to all but me.
Except to our small little group, and we won't share. We'll keep that between us. And it's funny because one of the things that Erin's going to introduce our big topic of today, and actually it does fit into that topic as well, because things have evolved in a way that if that were to have happened today, I think the ramifications of it would be much worse. Our society is definitely not as tolerant to mushroom previews or first grade or whatever it was. So anyway, that leads me back to you, Erin.
Well, before we get into that, I do want to ask all you ladies, how did you sleep this week after our conversation last week? I know I slept like total crap last night and the night before, and I don't know why. Just one of those nights where I just was like tossing and turning all night and felt like I saw every hour on the clock. Frustrating.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I went from like taking the magnesium to being like, you know what, maybe I don't need this. Maybe I need to do blood work somehow and figure that out before I just decide, like, because it worked for others, it might work for me. So I decided not to do anything after we recorded our last episode, and I definitely saw every single hour. And I had multiple hot flashes throughout the night. So I actually threw away the other chocolate shake because it didn't make me feel good. So I was like, you know what? This is something I can control. And haven't had that kind of ice cream since. And I would say slightly better.
So just to interject a quick story before we hear from everyone else, Lisa, you brought up the chocolate shake. So today I saw a video posted by a British tourist here for the World Cup, and I don't know what part of the country he was in, but he had gotten a Frosty from Wendy's and was trying dipping his fries in the Frosty. So the video was him doing it for the first time, and he was
Amazing.
skeptical, but he did it and he just was blown away. He's like, "Oh my God, that shouldn't work, but it does. It's so good." And I was dying laughing. How did this
This is
just come up?
actually, so I saw a video and I don't know where it is. I'm going to say somewhere in the Nashville area. There's a place called, I want to say it's pronounced Fricey instead of icy, but it's Fry, and they serve homemade soft serve alongside homemade French fries.
It's a thing.
It
The
is a
order
thing.
that you get.
I mean, think about it. There's so many salty and sweet combinations. I mean, I'm a professional baker, so like we dip potato chips in chocolate and pretzels in chocolate. I mean, it really isn't that weird, but it does seem strange. And
Yeah.
you were definitely the first one who ever introduced me to that. You were on the cutting edge. How many years ago?
Trendsetter from way back when.
Yeah.
Meg, how did you sleep this week?
Like a rock. I mean,
Like too much all day, every day.
Yeah, true.
I know. I mean, part of me is like, that's kind of been my normal. So like, if it didn't change, do I want to wake up rested? Absolutely. But that doesn't seem to be a thing for me. So I guess I'd rather just, sleep all night and wake up tired versus toss and turn all night and wake up tired.
Yeah.
I actually got a massage on Friday, which was amazing. And she started talking to me and I was sound asleep. And she recognized it. She goes, "Did I just wake you up?" I was like, "Yep, that's okay though. Like, I'm paying for this. I want to be here, present, and enjoy it."
So did you sleep through most of the massage?
No, I think I just dozed off for like 5 minutes because
okay.
we were talking most of the time, and then there was a pause. I fell asleep, and she continued talking.
Amazing. I'm jealous.
That's funny.
How about you, Tara? Oh, sorry, Colleen.
No,
Go ahead.
that's okay. I was going to say I slept like normal, but that's not my big problem, so I won't waste much of your time on that. But I did see one of our listeners comment about the magnesium too, so that seems to be a thing. And I will interject that I love seeing listener comments too. So keep them coming.
Yes.
Tara.
Absolutely. I've been having some other issues that have been keeping me awake. Like I've been wearing my Apple Watch to bed, and I come to find out my heart races sometimes in the middle of the night, like over 100 while I'm sleeping, or maybe I'm awake. Maybe I wake up and toss, and maybe my brain starts going, and I don't know. So I've been monitoring that. But to Megan's point, the nights I do feel like I sleep well, I don't I'm exhausted. And I don't like not from waking up constantly. It's just this newfound exhaustion that I guess I'm thinking it's related to sleep, but maybe it isn't at all. It's just exhaustion in general.
Yeah.
So this could be a whole nother episode, but I have a question for those of you who don't sleep well. Do you dream a lot, or do you remember dreams?
No, sometimes.
Because I find on the nights that I don't sleep well, which is unusual for me, it's usually because there's something happening in my dreams that's keeping me from really falling asleep. And those are the dreams that I remember in the morning or that wake me up. So I was wondering if that was a similar experience, but no.
I've had decades of not sleeping well, and there's always different reasons. But I would say more recently, the lack of sleep means that I don't think I'm ever really sleeping deep enough to have a dream. So if I am having any sort of anxious thoughts, it's while I'm awake. So I end up choosing, television or something. I still haven't tried the different colored noises yet.
I did some reading, Lisa, on magnesium and sleep after we talked last week.
Yeah.
And they did say that sometimes people that the magnesium relaxes them, and they will wake up when their body starts to go into that REM sleep. like their body is not used to being able to relax like that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it'll wake up when it starts going into like the deeper REM cycles, which
Stupid.
interesting.
Stupid.
I will say, I feel really bad for all of you because I love sleep, and
too.
you know, on the random night that I don't sleep well, I just don't feel good. So I do feel bad for all of you who have issues with that. And I'm sure I'll have my day, but not yet.
Not that we want to have a whole other episode on sleep, but let
Mm.
me just ask one other question,
Mhm.
because I was talking with friends this weekend, and as it turns out, this is not just me. So if I could bring my pillow everywhere, I would. Like every hotel that I'm staying in, if I could bring my own pillow, I would. And I don't know if that makes me like, lady, like I don't know what that makes me, but if I could
I
smush
bring
it
mine
up and
most
take it,
everywhere.
I just can't, like hotel pillows. I can never find one. They're
Yeah.
either too poofy, they're not
Mm.
poofy enough, and then all it takes is one night in a like on a bad hotel pillow, and then I'm all messed up. My neck is messed up for like the next week, and I'm like, okay, this never used to happen to me. So what's just another aging thing, I guess. But it's
Yeah.
not just me. Like friends is like, oh yeah, I would, yeah, I would take my pillow too.
I'm
So
with you.
just curious, yeah, all of you too.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you.
I
feel like
stayed
I've
at a
spent-
hotel once that had a pillow menu, and
Ooh,
I feel like,
Wow.
well, it seemed great, right?
Yeah.
I think they were just gaslighting us because I kept requesting different pillows on the little pillow menu, and I'm pretty sure I was getting the same exact pillow every night.
Really? I went to multiple pillows, but I had them bring them all. I was
Oh,
like,
you can do that?
Oh, yes, like a little show
Oh,
and tell.
buffet.
we don't have this one, or we don't have this one right now. And I was, that's okay. Bring any of them that you have, so that like, at 2 a.m, if it's not working, I can try another one as opposed to having to call. And they did. They brought like 3. I still just don't sleep well, but it was kind of a fun experiment. It gave me something else to think about.
How many pillows were on the menu?
I want to say 5.
Oh, okay. And they brought
Yeah,
you
probably
3.
4 or 5.
I was wondering about Megan's theory, and if there were like 12 and they had 3, and they're like, crap, someone's calling us out on it. They want one of everyone. We don't have 12. We have 3. All right, 5 to 3 is not terrible, I guess.
Yeah, and they gaslight you. Oh no, you haven't used this one. This is an entirely new pillow.
Yeah, there's like 4 pillows on the bed, and so I'm like, are they all new? Are they all different, or just one? Do I need to find the one?
It's a lot of work.
So hard.
It is.
The struggle's real. All right. Well, so this week, in thinking about a topic, the thing that has been on my mind a lot lately is the topic of change. Why do we fear change? Why is change so hard? Is it harder if it is something that we are instigating versus something that's happening to us or around us that we don't really have control over? I started thinking about it because I know that, we go through changes every day, but, Tara, I know I've been thinking about you with your, your son graduating, and Lisa, you're moving in a new house, you're in a whole new state. And, just how are we doing with change? How are we handling it? How are we processing it?
I was thinking back to, we've talked a lot in this group about our parents and things that they've done, or wondering if they had to go through something similar. And my first teaching job, I was there for 9 years and miserable for quite a few of them. And I started looking for a new job, and I got one, was really excited about it. And both my parents, love them to death, but both were like, what do you mean you're leaving? Is something wrong? What did you get fired? Like, they couldn't kind of understand that it's okay to make some moves. It's okay to make some change. That nothing has to be wrong for that to be the catalyst, that it can just be you want something different. And I wonder, because we've talked also about kind of being born into analog and moving through the digital phase. And I think change is very different for all of us in this stage of life, because our parents stayed, right? Like they were in the same thing forever, regardless of the outcome. And it's only now that I'm having conversations with my father that he's like, I think it was good that you made this move, or I think it was, and I'm like, but it took you till you were 84 to give me that. Thanks.
They were definitely more loyal. That generation definitely had a lot more loyalty. And I'm not saying that as a positive, because obviously loyalty can be positive, but almost to nauseam. They would just stay where they were no matter what the ramifications were. So I think it was probably just hard for them to see it through your eyes. And you said nothing had to be wrong for you to make a move, but I will point out if you were miserable for years, something was wrong. So
Correct.
good for you.
Yes.
Yeah, but a different generation for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, literally, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely was a different generation for them. It just wasn't a thing that people would move around. But, you know, they also had pensions, you know, most workplaces. And so they wanted to have that. But then, you know, to your point, you know, change is good. So were they, like Lisa, you made the change because you didn't like your job, or you were looking for a change for, so were our parents miserable, secretly miserable, being stuck? Did they want the change, or did they not know any different? So they didn't even know what they were missing. They didn't know it was an option.
Complacency is a real thing. I definitely saw, you know, my father-in-law definitely held on to a job much longer than he probably should have. Very talented in what he was doing and probably could have done more. But I think you don't know what you don't know, and they were just kind of, I think, brought up in a way that if you had a good job, you stayed there, and who are you to look for more? So I do think that there were some in that generation that stayed in things that they were miserable in, but they just weren't encouraged to look beyond that. Like you said, Lisa, it was more, they questioned people who did. So it was just a totally different culture. I mean, I'm seeing now with my own children, they are the epitome of that. Just no loyalty to jobs. That next generation, or that generation, the 20 somethings, they just job hop. Yeah. They just from one thing to the next. So I hope they find the happy medium, because there does need to be one.
I think they're also described as multi-hyphenate, that a lot of younger people, and I think we're part of that, right? Like we're kind of in this in between. But I think a lot of people are, you know, I'm a teacher and I'm a coach and I'm at this and I'm at that. And like, if you look at the five of us, like we do a million different things between just five of us. So I think we've kind of got a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new, which I think.
What was the term you just used? A multi-hyphenate?
Hyphenated person.
Oh, that is a totally new term for me. I like that.
I haven't heard that either. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that as we get older, I mean, as we've said, you know, we all have gone through changes, and ones that we've initiated, you know, different jobs and whatnot, versus our parents. But now, do you find that the older that you get, are you less likely to want to go through a major change? I think it's inevitable in a lot of senses, but like, you know, if you can avoid it at this point in your life, are you going to go after a new job?
I am. I just went out. I went for, there was a women's walk in Nashville, and I was like, you know what? I can meet new people, and I'm going to give it a try. So I showed up there, and somebody said, "Oh, are you from Tennessee?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Did you move here for work?" And I said, "No, actually." You know, I needed a job in order to move. Like, I'm not wealthy, but no, I can kind of do anything. What I do, I can do anywhere. So we decided to look at it as an adventure. And I still, even though we haven't fully moved into the new house, we're already still looking like, what's our next adventure going to be? Will we always be in Tennessee? I don't know. Will we be in another new state in the next 5 years? Who knows? So I think I'm getting more accustomed to change and kind of liking it.
That all scares me. I mean, I've been like, as far as change goes, I feel like I have to be pretty it's easier. Change is easier for me when I'm initiating the change. So whether it's a job or a move or something like that, because I think I I think about it way before I say anything to anybody else, or I'm sitting in the discomfort or the dislike of, like whatever the situation is. But I like things to be kind of status quo and and simple for me. It's kind of like it's simple when things are predictable, and I think I just like that. So
I
don't
was
know.
forced into a change, a career change. We're kind of talking about career stuff, but Lisa, to your point, like as we kind of age, would I make a decision? I was laid off for the first time in my life, probably 3 years ago now, 3 years ago now, and it was scary because I was at a job for 10 years, and then I was at another job for 10 years, and I left that stable job to kind of take that leap.
Yep.
And it was amazing. I had an amazing experience, but after 18 months, I was laid off. And, it's just, you can't, at least I couldn't help but kind of have the thought like, oh, did I make a mistake 18? I mean, I couldn't think about it like that.
Right.
But it took me a solid year and a half to fall into where I am now, just some not good situations, not good fits for different reasons. So I think I didn't appreciate the lack of or I did appreciate the lack of change in my career because the rest of my life having young children was constantly changing. So I think for me, it's like finding a balance where it's like, can everything not change at once? So as my kids were aging, it felt good to have a place or a career where things were a little bit more stable, to Megan's point. And now they're kind of aging out, but it feels good to be back in a stable work environment again, where I'm not but to your point, like Megan, I didn't make the choice for the change. It kind of happened to me. But it led me to where I am today. So, and I'm happy. So, but it was a little rocky getting here.
Yeah, that forced change can sometimes put you into like fight or flight, survival mode.
Definitely.
I know, that happened to me back when, when my ex passed away suddenly, and I just totally shook my screen here. And it was like total upheaval where, the kids were young and suddenly it was just me, and it was a change to everything that I knew about life, and, just trying to manage things, not just for myself, and like kind of controlled as best as I could going through this change, knowing it wasn't just about me, and then having to put them ahead of myself and also not lose myself and take care of myself. And, it's interesting and thinking about the different kinds of change, I think it, obviously can be exciting, but then it can also be really terrifying. And then, of course, when you're in that fight or flight or that survival mode for so long, then you start to have, physical symptoms and things that are coming up. So I guess, having the control of being like, I'm going to go and get this new job because it's what I want, versus like, oh no, I have to find a new job because I just was laid off, or I was
surprised.
For people who are fired or whatnot, like how do you approach that? Like when those things happen, do you go into like organizational mode, like, okay, first I'm going to do this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and you like list it out, or like what's your approach when things suddenly happen like that and you have to change?
A lot of dead air right now as we all
I know. I'll make a note.
No, and honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing that all of us kind of went inward a little bit to think about what do we do when that happens. Like my most recent move was intentional, but we had a little bit of familiarity of, we had already built a house somewhere else. We had already moved somewhere else. We were able to line up jobs before we left. But I do remember in the process, I had, a best friend that I worked with, and I waited till like the very last second to mention that I was even thinking about going anywhere. Because I thought that was going to impact how we interacted with one another. Because I had only been there for 4 years, and I knew that, that was going to change our relationship a little bit. But luckily, I clearly, by this group of women, choose really good friends. We're still friends, but it can be, I go inward and make plans and jot down. And I even, in my first year, because for teaching, it's a pattern of like every 3 years before you can get fired anytime for any reason in your first 3 years. Like you have no security. And now I'm working at a different kind of school where I literally found out 2 weeks ago, and we've been out of school for 4 weeks, 2 weeks ago, what I'll be teaching next year.
Oh.
So like there was very little planning going on, but also like I'm so used to the Northeast and the timeline of like, this is when you find out if you have a job the next year, and this is when you can start applying for new jobs. And because it's a completely different school year, everything had to start earlier, and everything was a little bit different, but I have like my lists. So yes, I'm organized, but I tend not to share it with anybody because I get nervous that the thing that I want won't happen if I tell someone first. I'm a little super.
Yeah. And you made a good point too about like control. I think change and control, at least the willingness and happiness for change, at least with control. And, just I think if just through parenting and the, careers and everything else, change is scary when there's a lack of control. Like, my oldest just graduated high school and he's going off for the first time. Like that change is scary because I'm losing a little bit of control. Like you start to lose a little bit of that control, and to get laid off. It's like, wait, I had no control over that particular situation. So I think when, at least for me, when I don't have any control of the change, it's really, really scary.
Yeah. I made a huge career change, as you guys all know, quite a number of years ago. But it's funny because it's what you're talking about, Tara. It was a total combination of the controlled and the uncontrolled. So the change was a controlled change. I anticipated it for a long time. I planned for it for a long time. It was still scary, but honestly, my husband was more confident about the change than I was, and that gave me a lot of security that I didn't have for myself. His confidence was inspiring. So I did it. And I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I have to find another job, right? So I did it. But what I didn't see coming was opening our first physical spot 2 weeks before the COVID shutdown. Yeah. So a very controlled decision that was followed by complete and utter chaos. But I will say the only thing comforting about that chaos is that the whole world was in on it with me. So I certainly wasn't alone, but it was one of the scariest things because we both had at that point left our jobs, had no consistent income other than what we could produce for ourselves. And we had 2 school-age children at the time and literally had no job, no income, like in a matter of, from one day to the next. So that was a great example of controlled and uncontrolled all at the same time. So, but what did we do? I mean, we just totally brainstormed. We talked to everyone we knew. We gathered ideas and we pivoted and we figured it out, and we're here to tell about it. We still have the business. It looks a little different than it did then, but yeah, total chaos. But
do you look back at that and are you thankful for all that change? Because your life would, if that hadn't happened, your life would be totally different now.
Yeah, and it's like Tara said, you have to be, in hindsight, you're thankful for everything that happened because it puts you where you are. You know, it pushed us in different ways. We met different people because of the situation, and some of those people we met helped kind of shape our business as it is today. And I think what we're doing now is probably more enjoyable to us than what we would have been doing without those opportunities. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely a silver lining for us. But it's funny because when you brought up this topic of change, I thought of the discussion going this way, but then I also paralleled it with what we talk about a lot with our bodies and changes. And so changes physically for us, changes physically for, I think, our parents, we talk a lot about. So we're just in the throes of all of this change, whether it be our kids, our health, our jobs, our parents. It's just, there's so much. And I think, you know, talking about it makes it easier to handle because you realize that everyone's got their version of this change happening, and you figure out ways to cope with. And sometimes the coping is just talking about it. So it's so helpful. But yeah.
And I've worked for a couple of like very fast growing companies, startups, I guess you would say. And one of them, there we had kind of had a saying, and the only constant was change. Because when you're working at a growth, like hyper growth startup, that's just your reality. Every day something's changing. And I think that holds true to what you just said, Colleen. I think that's life in general. And I think when, you know, we brought up this topic, I think for like personally, if I think about it, like right now, change feels a little heavy, but back, you know, 5 years ago, it probably felt heavy for different reasons then. I mean, I do think it's kind of constant, and it's just kind of how we embrace it, you know, along the way.
I honestly think one of the most attractive qualities in other people is resiliency. You can get so bogged down in what life throws at you and what life gives to you, and how you handle that, to me. And, you know, it doesn't always have to be with grace, because sometimes chaos doesn't produce grace, but what you are in the aftermath of that, to me, just speaks to people's character. And I love reading stories about resiliency and seeing how people in their daily lives, I love the word pivot, but I use it too much. But how people can change and adapt, and what they become because of all of those things. Like Erin, your story, holy crap. I mean, there's nothing that compares to that. What you've had to go through, and Lisa, your health challenges, and Tara, your job challenges. And I mean, we've all been through it, just in different ways, but you guys are all so resilient. And I think that's what draws me back to you guys all the time, is you're inspiring. And that's what I look for in people. So I think that our listeners need to be reminded what you guys all have to offer by way of conversation and inspiration. It's amazing.
I feel like the key to it is because to your point, Tara, it is inevitable. Change is inevitable. And if you think of it as like, you know, you're riding along on a stream, right? What do they always say? Like, if you're caught in the rapids, don't fight it. Don't, you know, that's how you drown. You know, you have to relax and you have to flow with it. And I know, you know, speaking for myself, at times when I've been faced with the challenges of change, you know, the more I resist it, the more I fight it, the harder it is on every level, versus just, you know, just trusting that we're on this path. And, you know, I'm someone who does subscribe to that. Like, you know, I'm here to face challenges and learn and grow from it. And, you know, I just like trust the path, and it'll work out. And knock on wood, so far it has. And it's interesting because maybe it's not the way that you expected that it would, but then in hindsight, as we said before, you look back and you're like, oh, okay, well, if that hadn't happened the way it did, it wouldn't have led me to this, which led me to that, which led me here, you know?
Right. And those are the lessons that we try to, I think those of us who are parents try to teach our children. And it's a really tough lesson for them, because in their drama and in their moment, that doesn't make any sense to them. It doesn't resonate at all. Just as teenagers or young adults, I mean, the hard stuff is so hard, they can't understand that that's part of the process, or that it will resolve, or it will lead to a different circumstance. So it's really hard to watch our kids go through that, but they all
and that
do.
can sometimes apply too if you're managing people at work, especially younger people. You know, I think you know, being in that position where you're kind of trying to mentor people and they're looking to you for wisdom, as now we're the elders, so they look at us as the
or Lisa, you as a teacher, holy crap, I can't imagine having a room full of 20 of these people.
Yeah. What do you teach your students about handling change?
I always teach them, just keep asking questions. Just keep, like, you're never going to know if someone will help you with something unless you ask. What's the worst somebody can say is no. So I try to let them see me struggle. I know it's different than being a parent. Your kids are going to see you all the time. They're going to be a part of that change for you. And my kids see me during the hours of school, but I like to let them know that, like, I still don't have it figured out. Like, I'm almost 50 and I still have questions and I still have hard things and I still have changes. So the more you can surround yourself with people, good people, then hopefully they pick up on those things. I think it's more of what you show than what you say.
You said that it's not the same as being a parent, but I will tell you, and Megan, like the children that you have in your families or those around you, I think you guys play way more of an important role than you think. Our kids don't necessarily want to listen to their parents all the time. So those other adults in their lives tend to be extremely valuable too. So don't discount that for sure.
We get to be the cool aunties.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. They might actually listen to you.
I can actually remember being that age.
Oh, exactly.
You know, like it was hard to take advice.
Yeah.
Parents were the last people you wanted to take it from.
Right.
Yeah, you know everything. So, and everybody else is wrong.
Right.
Yeah. I think this wraps up my day like perfectly. I started listening to these like 5-minute little like motivations in the morning, just to kind of like, you know, mindfulness and, you know, trying to embrace the challenge, Lisa. So I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier when we started talking about this topic, but the practice today was on freedom and permanence. And it had a lot to do with kind of like understanding the impact of attachment and change in our lives, and techniques for letting go of attachment and fostering emotional resilience, exploring impermanence as a tool to finding joy, gratitude, and inner peace. So I just, and one of the visualizations they had today, Erin, was kind of like that stream. And you can either flow along with the stream, or you can fight the current the other direction the entire time. Like those are kind of your choices. And then, you know, obviously they talked a little bit about resilience calling too. So this conversation relates back to 5:30 this morning when I listened to my little motivation. Wrapped up my day with a bow.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they say all good things must come to an end. So maybe the change that we're all experiencing right now is that this podcast has to end at some point. But
like just this episode, not the whole podcast.
No,
we're done.
We're just getting going.
But that does mean that all of our listeners should message us, should email us, should interact with us on social media and let us know how change has impacted their life, what they do when they're faced with challenges or problems or change, and help inspire all of us. So we'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, keep taking that change and take those problems, turn them upside down, and make them your resilient moment. So we love y'all. Have a great night, and remember, we're friends, period. Join us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.